Good evening. Today I will read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anyatvevam ajananta shutvanebhya upashate te pisheta trancheva smrityam shuti parayana. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. This is the purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society, because in modern society there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As far as the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in a modern world, gave great stress to hearing, because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress, especially according to Lord Chaitanya. If he hears the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization, and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Srila Prabhupada writes. Om Ajnanati Mandasya Janamsala Shlakya Sakshat Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So, you see here, Lord Krishna says, yes, there are many who are not philosophically inclined, especially in this age, who has time to study the Vedas, study philosophy. It will be a minority. But Krishna says here, if one hears from authorities, then just by that hearing, one can attain perfection. So, which examples do we have of those who attain perfection by hearing? Like Rukmini. Before her marriage with Krishna, she never had met Krishna. She just heard from authorities. She heard about Krishna from Narada Muni. And just by hearing from Narada Muni, she decided to marry Krishna, and she wrote him a letter. Although her parents and her brother Rukmi had decided to marry her to Sisupal, she wrote a letter to Krishna asking him to kidnap her. Yes, but it's true that Maharaj Parikshit, he attained perfection by hearing, but he saw Krishna before. He saw Krishna already in the womb. Krishna was protecting him. So he had experience of seeing Krishna, meeting Krishna, and therefore his name is Parikshit, examiner, because for whole his life he was searching again for that person he saw in the womb. But we have Rukmini, she just heard, and on that base of that hearing, she became attracted to Krishna. Now there is another example. And that other example is maybe not so much known, but it's in the 10th canto in Krishna book. Is an example of the Jagyapatnis. So it was summertime, very hot. Now in India it can be very hot in the winter, in the summer I mean, that in May, June, July, I remember, it's hot at night and it's even hotter during the day. So during one summer day, Krishna was herding the cows with the cowherd boys, and some of the cowherd boys were hungry. And they were thinking also Krishna must be hungry. Therefore, we should get food. And they asked Krishna, we know we are hungry. They said that because they were also considering Krishna, that they said to Krishna, we are hungry, but it was to get food for Krishna, that Krishna was always in their center, in the center of their existence. And Krishna says we have these Brahmins there. These Brahmins, they are performing sacrifices for going to heaven. And these sacrifices, technically, they must all be very correct. So many rules and regulations. So they went to these Brahmins who were doing these sacrifices. It was near the end of the sacrifice, and the cowboy boys said, we have been sent by Krishna and Balaram. They are hungry. We beg you, please, give them some food. And these Brahmins, they did like they didn't exist. That said, we are busy with this sacrifice, go away. Also, but what's the purpose of their sacrifice? Yes, going to heaven, but in that sacrifice, who appears in the fire? Vishnu. Vishnu appears in the fire, an expansion of Krishna. But there, the cowboys came on Krishna's behalf and they say, we have no time. This is serious business. All these details of these sacrifices. And they went back to Krishna and Balaram and said, yes, they didn't want to give it. What do we do now? Yes, Krishna said, if you beg, sometimes you will be refused, yeah, and not always successful begging. But go on my behalf, and Balaram's behalf, go to the wives of the Brahmins. So these cowboys went to the wives of the Brahmins and begged, and they said, Krishna and Balaram are hungry. And immediately, these wives of the Brahmins, they came full of ecstasy. And they were so eager to serve Krishna, they started to cook all kinds of preparations. And quickly, because they wanted to feed Krishna. So one can say, why are these wives attracted to Krishna and this man not? What turned them into devotees who became so attracted to Krishna? It's the same point. They were hearing from authorities. They were hearing. And who were these authorities? It's not a guru in the Parampara, it were other Vrajavasis. The original Vrajavasis, because we know that Nanda Maharaj and the coward boys, they were before in Gokul, but then when so many demons there tried to kill Krishna, they came all together and they said, oh, this place is condemned, that let's go to another place where it will be, where Krishna and Balaram will not be disturbed by so many demons. So they moved to Vrindavan, then from Gokul to Vrindavan. But the original residents from Vrindavan, the aborigines of the indigenous people who lived there, they were called Pulindas. Pulindas. And the Pulindas, they are part of the Sabara tribe, and they roam over. They are forest people. They are mainly collecting fruits from the forest and so on, and then by barter they are living with that. But these Pulinda women, they are always through the forest, and when Krishna was herding in the forest, they saw Krishna and they became attracted to Krishna. And they told these wives of the Brahmins about Krishna, about his beauty, about his pastimes. So they heard from others. The verse says authorities. Some sense, they are authorities because they are residents of Vrindavan. Everyone in Vrindavan is a pure devotee. So they heard from Krishna and became attracted to him. And now the scout boys were coming and asking to cook for Krishna, so they became very ecstatic. And they saw always Krishna in their heart. And then immediately they went to see Krishna and Balaram and all the cowboys in the forest. And when they saw Krishna, they offered all the food they have cooked. And they saw Krishna They saw Krishna within themselves, within their mind. And they saw Krishna also before them, that within their heart they embraced Krishna. That they could not embrace Krishna from the outside. They were Brahmin women. They were also from the Brahmin caste. Because for a long time they have been thinking of Krishna always, because they heard from Krishna and they became attracted, and now they had the chance to see him, and they embraced him in their heart, to their heart's content, and by that distress of separation went away. They were like great sages who by their advances of knowledge became one with Krishna. But becoming one with Krishna means becoming a servant with Krishna. One in interest. Not that they lose their individuality. That because Krishna, the super soul, is in everyone's heart, and Lord Krishna could understand their minds. They had to come in, because all these women, of these Brahmins, these Jagyapatnis, they came to Krishna and offered him all this food despite the protest of their relatives, fathers, husbands, brothers. They all objected. But just they didn't listen, they go. They went. Despite all their duties, his household affairs, they became just to see Krishna. Because by always meditating, with love, Krishna became their life and soul. And they were exactly following the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Sarvadhamam Prajyam Mamakam Samvaccha. One should surrender to him and give up all other varieties of religious duties. So therefore, when Krishna saw them, he started to speak to them. And he was smiling, smiling very magnificently. So we can note that when Krishna enters the heart of these wives, and when they embraced him, and when they felt transcendental bliss of being merged with him in that embrace, the Supreme Lord did not lose his identity, and the individual wives, they did not lose their identity. The individuality of both the Lord and the wives remained. So still they felt oneness in existence. When a lover submits to his lover without any pinch of personal consideration, that is oneness. So Krishna loves us and we love him. And that oneness is in love. Lord Chaitanya started this feeling of oneness in his Sikshastika. In his Sikshastika, this is the last verse of Sikshastika. Aslisyava pataratam pinastu nama dakshinam marmatam kautava yata tatava vitatautalam patumat prananatastu saivanapam. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so. Even he handles me roughly by his embrace and makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. So Krishna may act freely, doing whatever he wants, Lord Chaitanya said. But the devotee should always be in oneness, in agreement with Krishna's desire. The oneness that was exhibited by the Jagya Patnis, these wives of the Brahmins, was in their love for Krishna. So the merging that the devotees desire is to merge in service. And these wives of the Brahmins displayed perfect love of Godhead. On this pastime, you have Kavi Karnapura, who is a great poet, and he wrote, due to the absorption in thoughts of Krishna, they acted boldly, free from doubts and hesitation. Covered by love, they lost control over their minds, while tasting the mellows of their relationship with the Lord. Having taken completely control of their senses, Krishna entered their hearts, came outside, and again entered their hearts. So that's Krishna conscious. A devotee sees Krishna in this world and in his heart at the same time. And during this experience that these Jagyapatnis had, they thought, how amazing, our beloved Shyama Sundar is standing before us and simultaneously standing in our hearts. They became bewildered. The ladies saw Krishna in their hearts when they closed their eyes, and they opened their eyes and they saw their beloved before them. Even Dhruva Maharaj did not get that. He saw the Lord inside, and when his meditation broke, then he saw the Lord outside. But they got both inside, outside, simultaneously. Although they were satisfied to see Krishna within their hearts, they moved closer to him upon opening their eyes. Taking Krishna through the aperture of their lotus eyes, they embraced him within their hearts. Meeting in rapturous joy, they relinquished all fears and anxiety. If you're always absorbed in love of Krishna, no anxiety anymore. With their creeper-like hands, these fortunate ladies offered fragrant flowers and affection to worship their beloved. Krishna enchanted the minds of the Brahmins' wives by saturating them with spiritual bliss. He completely removed the painful fire of separation. So, after hearing so long about Krishna and desiring to meet him, they got what they want. And of course, they did not listen to their husband. So there's a message to all the ladies that Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport of this verse. So if the husband does not allow you to go to Krishna, then you are allowed not to listen to the husband. Interesting. What Krishna said here is the same thing what he said to the gopis. Why during the rasa dance, he said, why did you come? That you should be by your husbands, your children and so on, do your duties. And you can think of me, that's the same. That, of course, the Jagyapatnis did not like that, also the gopis did not like that. They wanted to see Krishna personally. But now, to always be absorbed in Krishna, how do we attain this stage? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks about this stage. He calls this Nishta. And Krishna says here in the Bhagavatam here, and his commentators, also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it's mentioned in the purport too, also that comes from Krishna book from Srila Prabhupada. To attain this Nishta, there are 4 obstacles: mental speculation, selfish desire, quirk of time, circumstance. So what are these 4? Mental speculation. Mental speculation means that we are not accepting Krishna as he is, but we are absorbed in a dream world, that we are going to merge with the cosmic consciousness or something like that, and Krishna is not in the picture, and that's a dream world. And material desires, which are selfish desires, that takes our mind away from Krishna. That creates an inability not to be able to think of Krishna constantly. That one must be ahaituki, without material desires. One can have many desires, but for the pleasure of Krishna only. So in fact, there's one desire. This Krishna should be in the center. There's one law in the spiritual world. Here in the material world, so many laws. There is only one law in the spiritual world. Whatever you do, Krishna must be in the center. It's the only law. If you do not follow the law, you cannot go in the into the spiritual world. Therefore, we need to be trained here. And we have first to attain this Nishta. Nishta means you are always serving Krishna. Quirk of time. We say, oh, too busy today, I cannot chant my rounds. It's too late now, I cannot go to the temple, and it's Corona and so on. This evening program is too late, it's too far. Or circumstances, can be anything. I'm too old, I must sleep. So many things. There are other obstacles described in Madhurya Kandambini, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He mentions 5 main obstacles. Sleep, one wants to sleep, bad habits, selfish habits, material desires, indifference, and distraction. So there are many obstacles to loving devotion service. As long as we have these obstacles, we cannot run to Krishna like the wives of the Brahmins. Nishta is the beginning of pure devotional service. Of course, the Jajna Patnis were far beyond that level. You can be then the question is, if I'm not at Nishta, can I be a pure devotee? You can, but you must be a ahaituki. You are with personal motive, then you can also be a pure devotee before Nishta. If your motive is only to please Krishna. The topmost goal is to develop this love for Krishna. Then we are also a pure devotee. And from Nishta upwards, one becomes more and more absorbed in Krishna. Absorbed in the Nishta means always being absorbed in devotional service with body, mind and words, Krishna says. Tad buddhas, tad atmas, tad nishta, parayana, that, yes, body, mind and words, that, but of course, these Jagyapatnis, they could not have a physical relationship with Krishna, but they could embrace him in the heart. That because they were Brahman women, they were not villagers. And this not having this physical relationship increases the eagerness of separation and the intensity of love. It increases their intensity of love for Krishna. Anyway, it's just to give you an idea about how one can become perfectly Krishna conscious by hearing from authorities. That we can hear Prabhupada, that always hearing Prabhupada, hearing from authorities. Someone gave me this, interesting, 32 gigabyte on it, all Prabhupada's lectures. And I just put it on.
Music.
Next is a class on the Bhagavad Gita
Class
as
of
it is,
Prabhupada.
second chapter, text number
And you
4
hear always
and 5,
Prabhupada, wherever
given
you
by
go.
His Divine Grace,
Just put
A.C.
it on, whatever you
Bhaktivedanta.
do. But hearing from authorities. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. It's a very nice class.
Hare Krishna.
I'm just going to ask, I had one question, so you were saying what we should always have the desire to serve Krishna, or always be wanting to serve Krishna. How do we get to that stage?
Yeah, that is explained by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and I will read you the verse. It's in the 12th chapter. 12th chapter, 8 or 9 or something, moment, nearly there. 12th chapter of devotional service. Yeah. Yeah, 12:10. No, 12:9. Yeah. Atashtam samadatum nashchaknosi maistiram apyas yoganatato mam ichaptam tananja. Mam icha aptum, one who desires me, Krishna, says that one who wants to develop a desire to attain me. That's what your question is about. How can we desire? Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So, the development of desire, that process is called sadhana bhakti. And in beginning, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. We don't have the desires, but we follow the Vaidhi, we follow the rules. Why? Because the Guru tells us to follow. But by that process, we will gradually cleanse our heart and the desire will develop. But we don't want to do it in the beginning. Brahmananda in New York said to Srila Prabhupada, you asked me to bow down for you, but Brahmananda said, I don't feel like bowing down, so why should I do it? Srila Prabhupada said, you do it and the feeling will come later. So that's the way. We do it. And surely, we will do it with our hearts. So chant, hear sufficient about Krishna from authorities as said here. And then one should come to Machita Prana Bodhayantas Prashpam Kardiant Samamnitam Tushanti Sharamantisha. These Jagrapatnis, also the gopis, they always talk about Krishna. They cannot stop. They can just not help it. They have to talk about Krishna. That's their life. So it has become spontaneous for them. It will also become spontaneous for us if we ardently practice this sadhana under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Guarantee we are bound to develop a desire to serve Krishna, to be with Him. So that's our only general principles, but it's the essence. Does that help, Mahaprabhu?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Anything else?
So if anyone has any other questions, please ask now. Otherwise, I guess.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
It's always nice to hear from you.
It's my pleasure to serve you all. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Bol.
His Highness Bhakti Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai.